Friday, 12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Friday, January the 26th, 2024, and this is program number 1129. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, in addition to radio, 101.1 FM radio, you can get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com. All our previous shows are also downloadable at the website. And if you want to listen to us live as well, we're streaming on Facebook. And you can just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. That's the name of that page, the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And you can find us there. Of course, you just have to like and share as well, please, if you don't mind. And, of course, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. You also have the option of messaging in to WhatsApp. And our WhatsApp number is 724-0008. You can call into that number as well. Again, that WhatsApp number is 724-0008. Now, some birthday greetings for today. Going out to Miss Rachel Skeet. Happy birthday to you, Rachel, and wishing an absolutely wonderful birthday celebration. And also sending birthday greetings to Miss Odile Billy Sadu. Happy birthday to you, Billy. And we do hope that you're having a great one as well. And those of you who are celebrating their birthdays today, you're actually celebrating it with Anita Baker. She turned 66 today. And it also would have been the birthday of the famous American World War II General Douglas MacArthur. Bit of history for today. In the year 1482, the Pentateuch, the Jewish Bible, was first printed as a book in Bologna in Italy. 1531 on this day saw the Great Lisbon earthquake with 30,000 people dying as a result of that quake. 1564 on this day, January 26, saw the Council of Trent issuing its conclusions in the Tridentum, and that would establish a distinction between Roman Catholicism and Protestantism. In the year 1788 on this day, Captain Arthur Phillip and British colonists hoist the Union flag at Sydney Cove, New South Wales. And that day is now celebrated as Australia Day. And by First Nations people, Aborigines from Australia, it's referred to by them as Invasion Day. In 1926 on this day, John Logie Baird gave the first public demonstration of television in his laboratory in London. And in 1998 on this day, some famous words by President Bill Clinton in that saga at the time. And he said, "I want to say one thing to the American people. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky." And we now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also glad gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries. Bosses, you Grizzlies. And Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today. And we do hope that it's going well for most people. And today was, in fact, the wreath-laying ceremony for the our two Nobel laureates, Sir William Arthur Lewis and Sir Derek Alton Walcott. And they are both interred up at Mont Fortune. One, of course, on the property and the grounds of the South Lewis Community College, and the other very close by at what is known as the Niskelen Monument Grounds, run or maintained by and owned by the St. Lucia National Trust. So there's an opportunity for the families to continue to pay respects to their memory at this time. And of course, as mentioned, the continuation of different events ongoing. Last night was the memorial lecture for in honor of Sir William Arthur Lewis, and that was delivered by Dr. James Fletcher. And we're going to, of course, continue to see many different activities like tonight. As I mentioned, the St. Mary's College Literary Night will be on. Now, our apologies again. We were supposed to have had a guest in the person of Senator Jawa here. Unfortunately, she again can't make it due to a funeral which she has to attend. So she has indicated her apologies in that regard. And of course, that was in the run-up to the public meeting which the St. Lucia Labour Party is hosting down in the community of Ancillary tomorrow. And today, in fact, marks the 2.5-year mark point through which, since we've seen the July 26th general election of 2021, and so it's 2.5 years since then, since St. Lucians went to the polls and elected a new parliament, new representatives to serve in parliament, and that resulted in a change of government, a new government being formed. And so, of course, it's halfway, and there would be no doubt a need to review and to see how the government has performed halfway through its term, roughly. Of course, the little technicalities, the term doesn't quite begin on the event of the anniversary of the election. It's actually taken from the point of the first meeting of Parliament, actually. So that would be sometime in the month of August. But it gives you a good idea, nonetheless, of what is going on. And of course, there are a number of things that no doubt the government will be putting forward as its successes over the past 2.5 years in terms of what it has been able to achieve, and we've heard a number of them in areas like education, for instance, and the work that is being done there, making it more accessible, the issues of things like the laptops program, ensuring that every child going to secondary school has access to information technology and devices, and other efforts in areas of removal of the facilities fees, which quite often was a hindrance to very many persons who are sorry about that. So who are actually being able to access an education. That has been a bit of an issue over the years, and sometimes we saw individuals actually withholding or schools withholding the results of children as a result of not paying facilities fees. So the move there is certainly an important one. And of course also the matter of math and English CXC. It's still a requirement for the CXC to for you to pay for those examinations, to sit those examinations, and some action taken there by the government to provide some support there, direct support in that regard, and a number of other things, no doubt, that they would want to be discussing, the assistance to teachers, increasing the allowances there, the grants provided to support teachers so that they can quite often support their students. And we've, of course, all seen also other actions in the healthcare sector. They would want to be speaking about some of those moves towards improving access for maternity care and mother and child care, and care for senior citizens and persons with diabetes and hypertension. And of course, the moves afoot in terms of expanding the St. Jude Hospital, completing the St. Jude Hospital, as well as expanding services in the Castries area with the bringing on board of a Castries polyclinic and other related interventions at the old Victoria Hospital. And the other list, no doubt, goes on to areas of infrastructure and what have you. So there's that aspect, and no doubt the opposition would want to be emphasizing issues of the challenges with crime at this point. No doubt that remains a very sore point. And in fact, just yesterday, unfortunately, we saw again another what appears to be some sort of a drive-by shooting, and this time affecting two residents, two teenage brothers, apparently aged 15 and 17, becoming victims of a shooting incident. Two of them in the the Pierrot-Opicon junction in Vieux yesterday evening, and not quite clear as yet as to their status, but they were both injured. I understood one may have succumbed, but we're not seeing that in the actual report. It's a little bit vague on that matter, but certainly the matter of crime and the impact that it is having against our young males is very much apparent, and inflicting great pain to the families of these individuals who quite often are simply lost for words as to why their sons are finding themselves in these situations, why they have to be mourning their losses at different times, of course. And it certainly is not a very good situation for families, relatives, friends, and community. And of course, Vieux we saw last year experienced a significant amount of violent crime, and to the extent that it was apparently not just about the individuals who were being targeted in the first instance. It was persons who were being targeted simply because of their association with individuals, other individuals. And so we saw, unfortunately, the loss of life of women and children within that context. And so it is not a very good situation overall with respect to that. And of course, the government will be pointing out their efforts at play in terms of trying to equip more the Royal St. Lucia Police Force with the necessary technology and equipment, vehicles and bikes and armory and a whole host of other things that they're seeking out, including CCTV, drone training as well is coming on board, and a number of different areas of support. But of course, it is part of the solution. It is a multifaceted issue that we are dealing with right now with respect to the matter of criminal activity. Of course, on the matter of the economy, the government will be speaking, no doubt, to some of its advancements in terms of trying to get investment, and particularly in the area of tourism still. We're seeing that as being the lead sector. The return of the numbers, the pre-COVID numbers, getting to that point where I think we're just about near the 2019 level. So still needing growth, to be able to go beyond where we were back in 2019. And some of the significant challenges, they're not coming from the American market. The American market certainly has surpassed 2019 numbers, but coming out of Europe, still a little bit of a ways to go. And in particular, that of the mired situation in the Caribbean, particularly due to the challenges of airlift. Just this week, we saw the last flight of Liat. That airline being a clear victim of COVID. It was a problem from before, but it tried to taper on, tried to continue, but was not able to do so. And so similarly to a number of other sectors which experienced significant blows as a result of COVID-19, including our banana sector, for instance, we have seen that airline come to an end. On the horizon, some hope that other forms of transport will be coming our way, and the indication first coming from the governments of Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad, and Tobago, that there will be efforts at establishing a regional ferry service, but then also an indication coming out of a private sector entity known as Connect Carib, and they've been around for a little while, speaking about the establishment of a regional ferry service, and they're now promising that it can happen before year end or at the beginning of 2024. So we'll have to wait to see how quickly that can actually happen, if it is going to happen this year. But that is apparently the promise, and that group indicating that it's secured somewhere in the region of about $50 million so that it can commence operations of a modern regional cargo and ferry service, with the hope of benefiting the islands of Barbados, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Vincent, Grenada, Dominica, Antigua, some other islands in the Eastern Caribbean, as well as the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And the indication was that there would be 3 vessels would be involved in weekly and daily round trips, transporting up to 8,000 passengers and goods weekly. That is where that is at, and so we're going to have to wait to see how that actually pans out. No doubt it is very welcome news if in fact it can happen. We've seen the benefits of regional ferry services between the Francophonie Islands, between St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, and Guadeloupe. But unfortunately, even though we've seen St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it has a fairly successful intra-island service between the Grenadines and St. Vincent. The same can be said for Grenada. It has a ferry service to Carriacou. You've seen ferry services operating between St. Kitts and its twin sister island of Nevis. The same can be said for that of Trinidad as well as Tobago. They've got a fast ferry service there. And even within Trinidad, there's a ferry service along the between Port of Spain and San Fernando. And we've seen other services in places connecting Montserrat, for instance, with Antigua, I believe. So there are a number of ferry services in the islands already, but for some reason we are not connecting ourselves, and that has not really happened. And so the need for that hopefully is going to be met very soon, and that should be able to open up a lot of opportunities both for trade and travel within the Caribbean. And let's hope as well, though, that even as that is going on, we can also see some improvements to our regional air travel situation as well. And these are some of the major structural impediments that really are keeping us back from becoming more of a single market and economy. And the need to be able to have good connectivity should be really and truly on the agenda of CARICOM, of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and as well all regional governments in our area. So, as I mentioned as well, beyond that and the issues of the economy, no doubt other issues that will be dominating. The interest of individuals with respect to the performance of the government will be on the matter of infrastructure. And we still see the challenges that we have with infrastructure over the years, and the importance of it in terms of promoting economic growth, and the matter of our situation with the cruise industry, and being able to support the size of vessels that we are seeing coming onto the seas. Just recently, of course, there's been a lot of a big splash about the Icon of the Seas, a new Icon class vessel, and that effectively somewhere in the region of 360 plus meters, over 1,200 feet, I believe. This vessel, nearly 1,200 feet, and the numbers of people that you're dealing with just this one vessel that can be bringing in a total complement of both passengers and staff of about 10,000 people, and coming onto your island for a very short space of time, let's say a day, and you have to be able to support this amazing surge of individuals, and how you can transport them around, what the impact that it has, of course, on your transportation system, the traffic in your city center, the other issues in terms of demand for services. So all of that has to be thought of within this context of the cruise sector, and ensuring that as you see these individuals coming up, that they in fact are making a positive economic impact on your country. Now, I'm raising that within the context that sometimes we think that, well, okay, if you've got a lot of people coming in, you're in a good situation. But the truth is, too, you could very well have a negative impact as well in some form or fashion in terms of what it causes towards the rest of the economy. So how these things are properly managed and is very important within this context too. And of course, the government going the route of a public-private partnership in port redevelopment for the cruise port with the Global Port Holdings 30-year concession agreement, which is due to result in upgrading of the port and the amenities and what is available as well. So all of these things, no doubt, we will have to be looking at and discussing within the context, of course, of the performance of the government at this time. Another matter, of course, has been that of taxes, and the government has pointed out some reductions with respect to, or yes, you could say reductions, but really increasing of the personal allowance, the threshold for income tax. So that meant that a lot of people who are on the tax roll are now going to benefit from a higher personal allowance, moving that up. Originally, it was around 18,000, moving it up to 25,000. And of course, benefit for everybody, but certainly for those individuals who will be making less than 25,000 per annum, effectively taking them off from having to pay any tax. And the whole issue of taxation has been a very topical one of late. We've seen a tax amnesty ongoing up until May the 1st, and the government indicating this has been the largest tax amnesty ever, and still encouraging individuals to make use of it. But in addition to that, the discourse on the matter of the health and security levy, the government going the route of introducing this levy at 2.5%. And some people, interestingly enough, opining that really and truly, it may have simply been better to go the route of just increasing the value-added tax. And it appears that was a recommendation being made by accountant Mr. Richard Peterkin on a program this week, that it would have been perhaps a little easier administratively to be able to manage this issue by going the route of the VAT. And perhaps so, but I think the challenge that we have, especially in terms of understanding government finances, is that in the reporting of these taxes, we get ahead and you'll see something saying value-added tax, and it'll only have a breakdown by who is collecting it, whether it's being collected by the Inland Revenue Department or whether it is being collected by Customs and Excise. And you don't necessarily get a good sense of what is being collected by one sector or another. And that is important within the context of appreciating sometimes the impacts of the taxes and which sector is actually supporting sufficiently its weight. Now, that I'm raising that within the context of the fact that recently, not so recently, in fact, for a while, we've had a differentiated arrangement for value-added tax, in that the hotel and accommodation sector, including, I believe, restaurants, were paying a lower VAT of 10%. And then in the former administration, we then saw that 10% rate was reduced to, I think, 7%. And with the understanding that there would then be the introduction of almost a reintroduction of an accommodation tax to be paid across the board by any entity providing hotel, well, not just hotel, but providing accommodation to visitors, inclusive of the Airbnb sector. So that was the thinking, that there would be some means to capture that sector within this accommodation tax. But we really, at this point, I don't know if we can actually begin to see, well, what has really been the benefit? Has this been beneficial to the overall tax collection? Has it been detrimental to it? It's not very clear. And so we quite often don't really see, well, how much is really being collected within that context, within that tax sector, so as to say, well, when you look at it from that perspective, you can then begin to see, well, what would be an impact if, in fact, this was moved from where it is really, the 7% back up to the 10%, or maybe even to the general rate, which is currently 12.5%. And I think it would be useful to get that type of data to be able to make some better determinations as to the tax policy and tax policy directions of the country, so that we can know really whether there's too much of a break on one side, or too much of a giveaway on one side, whether the people are all paying a fair amount. So it'd be very interesting, of course, to have a look at some of that, if we can, so that we can then begin to see, as a state, as a country, whether there are areas where there's too much leakage, and whether there are areas that the government can, of course, provide greater benefit. I recall, interestingly enough, with respect to the increase in taxes on airlift, we saw that come about, and the argument then, interesting enough, was, well, this is being largely put on by 85% or thereabouts of all persons traveling are actually non-nationals. So let's put the taxes on them. And that's a fair argument to make, but we also know that within the context of tourism, that's the reality. The majority of people who actually are coming in, they are more likely to be able to pay, and so it's a means of really extracting a tax on an export of a service, and that has hopefully have less of an impact on the pocket and the purses of the local population. But no doubt we can have a lot more of a conversation on that a little later in the program. We're due to actually take in our weather report at this time, so that's our dish of the day.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also black glassware and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Island style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island style, whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style, oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island style. We have tiles and thin sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality, price, service, choice. It's all at Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Castries, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's what, of course, on 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east-northeast near 23 miles per hour or 37 kilometers per hour with occasional gusts. The weather partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy and breezy with some light to moderate showers. And there is an advisory in here which reads small craft operators and sea bathers are advised to exercise extreme caution due to brisk winds and rough seas. The forecast for the Les Antilles, partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy and breezy with scattered light to moderate showers. And the weather summary, the Atlantic high pressure system will continue to generate moderate to brisk easterly winds across and rough seas across the Les Antilles during the next couple of days. A shell line will continue to cause cloudiness and showers over the central portion of the Les Antilles during the next 24 hours. Shallow patches of low-level clouds drifting along the wind flow will cause cloud intervals and widely scattered showers over the remainder of the region during the forecast period. And this was your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Salamba.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island Style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island Style, whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island Style, oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island Style. We have tiles and thin sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality, price, service, choice. It's all at Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Castries, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, in just a bit, I want to also take in some of the findings of the International Court of Justice in the matter of Israel and Gaza. In fact, there's an interim ruling there. But before we do that, we just try to squeeze in a call at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, caller. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm not able to follow what you're saying because the breaking transmission is so frequent.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
And you're following on radio?
No, on my Google device.
On your, okay, all right. And so you're following it on our Facebook feed?
I just tune in.
No, okay, tune in. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Well, we're
it's
going
to... difficult for me to get an idea of what you're talking about. It just comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes.
Our apologies for that. Hopefully we can try to get that rectified.
Yes, I just want to say something concerning, because I heard last night there was 2 shootings in D4, but the people were not killed, they were not dead. But I just find sometimes I have to say one thing to the police. When somebody calls you to give you information, please do not ask them their name. Because the police seems to be, when you call to say something, first thing they ask you your name. And you go, if I'm calling to give you something, I'm not saying name, if I'm calling to give you information, just take in the information and work with it. You don't have to know. Because this week, a young woman called. She said she called to give all the information. She was asked what she was doing there at that time, what she was wearing, her name, and all sorts of questions. So she got to the point she got so frustrated. That why you want to even the clothes she's wearing and all sorts of things you wanted to know? That shouldn't be. How then can you solve crime? Because the minute you're going to ask somebody their name, people don't have a fear. They're not one because you don't know what is going to happen when they give their name.
Well, I mean, there is a hotline which I think is supposed to be anonymous to provide police information, tips to the police. I'm not sure if that is what she used to call in, but I would suspect sometimes, depending on the nature of the information, they may want to be able to contact the individual again. So maybe they may want to be able to at least get some kind of contact information. It depends. And I understand what you're saying, that in some instances people just want to be able to give an anonymous tips. And so they should be able to say, well, I wish to remain anonymous in this matter. That should be perfectly fine. Of course, again, it depends on the type of information, and the police would want to be able to know, well, okay, is this a legitimate call, or is this a prank, or is this, so within that context, they obviously have to do some sort of, profile of the information coming in. So I'm not sure of the exact context of what you're referring to with this lady, but it might be.
It's something she saw that was going on, she said, and she called. It's a young woman. And she said the amount of questions that was asked of her, she got frustrated. Because I think Zachary had to call afterwards to that thing. Because, at the end of the day, she says she's trying to help by giving you information. Why would you want to know all of these things about her? Yeah.
What you're wearing is a little strange, but maybe so.
But I think sometimes there's a lack of trust between the police and the public is causing that, because when people do not really trust, I wouldn't say all of some people, but it poses a problem for them to do their work. Because you hear people say that all the time. People are saying that crime will be taking place, and the first thing people will say, I'm not calling because I don't trust. It shouldn't be like that, because you look at what is that keep on happening now. On the other hand, I think a lot of these crimes, people are playing a little bit too much politics with it. Because I keep on hearing that you are weak, you need to resign. As I heard they ask the Prime Minister to resign as Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, because he cannot handle the crime. He cannot do those things. Let some, and all of those things. But at the end of the day, when their parties are in power, and you have crime, whatever your strategy and things you put in place, the other government coming in should be able to pick up from there and move on and even strengthen it. But if sometimes you have nothing in place, everything, because under both the parties is the same crime, it's the same shooting and killing and all sorts of things, and there don't seem to be no solution. So why, when you have to play politics with those things and saying, that you cannot handle, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot all sorts of things. What it is you can come together to do in order to solve the crime. Because at the end of the day, things are given to the police, but they give them cars, they give them all sorts of things. At the end, what do they do with that? Are they really taking their job serious? Are they going about patrolling and doing all that is necessary to send fear into the guys that are doing that? Because the same way the guys have people living in sometimes in fear and anxiety, you have to return it to them. You have to be in their face almost on a daily basis, driving around nighttime. But that don't seem to be what is being done. They know the places, they know the hotspot, they know all of those things. But do you see them going around? Do those guys live in fear, knowing that the minute they're out there, they know the police will be on their back? They don't do that. And people are very much aware that they don't do that. Now people are always saying, where the police. But the people have to feel and see that you are really out there doing some. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you, caller. Go right ahead.
Hello, somebody's there too.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks very much for your contribution, caller.
Hello? I'm coming. I'll have to stop somebody.
Yes. All right, then. Thanks very much for your contribution, caller. Have a good one. And, of course, that caller providing us some context regarding information to the police. I know it is always a very touchy issue, and people want to be able to know that, yes, what information is being provided is being done with a degree of confidentiality, and that it's not going to be leaked, it's not going to be used in any way against them as well. So it is a very, very critical issue as to how those matters are dealt with, and to ensure that there is, in fact, a good check against it. Let's try to take in another call at this time. Good afternoon, and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr.
How are you, sir? How are you doing?
You all right, Mr.
Very
George?
good, thanks very much. And you?
Family?
They're blessed. Thank you very much
right.
for asking as well.
Yeah. I heard you reading, giving us some facts, I would hope, that about the state of the economy with regards to performance of tourism and so on. And you said that we're now back to the numbers of pre-COVID. In fact, better, we are surpassing that.
No, well, no. Careful. What I said is that I think we're just about there. If you look at just the visitor arrivals, you're right.
Yeah, that's neither
and
here nor there.
I said we had surpassed it.
That's nothing to the point I want to make is that in terms of what? In terms of numbers or?
In terms of visitor arrivals.
Oh, just visitor arrivals.
Yes.
So we don't know in terms of revenues.
No, I have not seen the revenue figures yet. That would have to come in that when they present the social and economic review.
The devil is in the details, but
that's true. That is very true.
We need that kind of information, eh?
We do need that information, yes.
Yeah, and it would be helpful if you could provide that, and not
because you may have a situation where you have the same number of people coming in, but then they're spending less. So,
yes.
It's unlikely, but I'm just saying it could happen. Yeah.
Yes, and also, if even they also have the scenario where if they spending more, but it's circulating less.
Could be that too. Very true.
Yeah.
Depending on where they're spending.
Exactly. Because I get the vibes I get on the ground is that, yes, the numbers looking good, but it's not reaching them, a certain category of operators in the industry. Yeah, they're griping that, it ain't really reaching them. They're not feeling it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is why we need this sort of information that we could, clear up these things. Now, on another matter, I think I listen intently to, well, I was watching it on TV. There's some program they had, it's on the news about this reformed, gang leader and so on, and he was giving his testimony, and, he was lauding the efforts of the people who helped to bring him along and the efforts and so on. And there are a group of people, I think Dr. King and Prince Kilash, different,
Okay.
Sherry,
Right.
and others, a lot of other people involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that's commendable, very, and I mean, we should support these efforts of reforming people and, yeah. But I think he said he was an advisor to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister could not attend, and I don't know if he was reading something, a message from the Prime Minister, or it was his own, thinking on the matter. And he was alluding to the fact that, I mean, we wouldn't be able to stop the crime until we stop the little things like breaking the traffic light and so on and so forth.
Mm.
And, the little things, the small ones lead to the big ones.
Right.
But, over a long period, there's been a lot of research on that theory, I think it's called the broken window theory.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no conclusive evidence, In fact, there's a lot more evidence, compelling evidence to suggest that this is not necessarily so. Because, I mean, I think that, yes, we need to stop people in minor infractions and so on. But when you study the complexity and the sophistication of crime, modern crime, Alex, I do think that we could suggest that if we get nobody breaking red lights and so on, because sometimes the biggest criminal could be driving the children to school or whatever, the family,
right,
and so on, and we'll never break a traffic light.
Right.
We'll never fly something out of the window. You know what I mean? we'll never speak profane words around his family, and so on. So that doesn't mean he wouldn't give the order to take out somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Eh?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think we're missing. Somehow I feel we don't understand it. We're not getting the true nature of this problem and how it has, burgeoned into something that it's so complex that it takes, much more than we want to, than the trivial interventions, I would say, that we think could make such a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to, because we keep hearing these sort of things, and as if, and to me, it seems that we're trivializing crime still, when we talk like that, because, I mean, the mafia from so long would tell you, boy, the mafia would be, you'd never believe certain people in the mafia, and when they do all what they do, what they say, it's business. It's not personal, it's business.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So, I think we should really have a more comprehensive understanding of crime, because it's so complex now, and especially added to the new technologies that facilitate it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we
it needs to be properly researched.
Yeah,
it needs to be. Yeah, it needs to be researched. It needs to be analyzed.
Was saying, yes, more police presence. All these things help. All these things help. But when you have one or two or few criminals reforming, good example, to others who would like to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always, there are also endless people waiting out there to replace them. You see, and that is the problem now, among the youth especially.
Mm-hmm.
And it getting younger and younger all the time. So once we're not getting, and Carlos, remember, we have gotten nowhere with the findings, seriously understanding and getting over this, what do you call it, impact report, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Eh?
Yeah. It's still...
I mean, this thing is no one cares to say that they are big businessmen and government officials.
Mm-hmm.
And we breeze over these things. After a period of time, we forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And we still expecting, maybe the governments of the day or whoever, to make an impact where we forgot that these things were never addressed, to even give an idea of which business people, which government officials, or any such thing. So we still in a mindset where crime equal them little fellas on the block.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Them little poor fellas who would do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That very, very important point that you're making, caller. And, to some degree, I think it's really calling for, when I say external intervention, I'm not talking about, people coming from the outside, but independent analysis, I would say.
But we need external also, because it's a global dynamic.
There's that aspect, but I mean in terms of...
Let me tell you, there's no, people keep talking about crime and central crime. There is no silver bullet for crime now, to deal with crime,
None whatsoever. And we're seeing how...
The
in fact...
forces that we face there, inflation, crime, public debt and these kind of things, there is no magic. So, like after a while...
In fact, you realize...
Putting pressure on local governments become an exercise in futility,
You realize one of
the global dynamic, my brother.
Yes. In fact, you realize one of the approaches towards dealing with crime is to not make certain things a crime again.
Not making what?
I said one of the approaches towards dealing with crime is to not make certain things a crime again.
Well,
so
exactly.
That is a part of the challenge too. Things that were criminalized are now... in terms of the whole drug situation around the world, they're now saying, this thing is never going to be solved. And so therefore we have to take a different approach into dealing with it from a public health perspective. So a lot of these things will be very...
what we need to know is the truth. They tell us, is our truth. And that absolutely is the truth. Now different. You have somebody who could be the next president again. Have endless court cases.
Right.
He hopes if he gets in power, he'll scrap. You refer to the people, anarchist people who, who plot against to overthrow the government.
Right.
Being referred to as patriots. Then there's a thin line between a patriot. You see that line between a patriot and a criminal?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about a serious crime there, against, the state. And some people say, well, these are patriots, unfairly treated.
Yeah.
So then again, boy, it's a global dynamic, and we cannot bury our heads in the sun. We have to keep trying options, and while we move along, we have to try and level off what is there already, if we can, which of course is difficult in our situation, because look how the numbers, rising.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of the various interventions, police, getting the police equipment and machinery and all sort of things, whatever. But to really nip that thing at the bud, it would take much more than I suspect we would want to think, and it's maybe, like you say, forget about it and don't call a crime a crime. Sometimes that's the root. It might not be the stated, policy, but at the end of the day, you're seeing that's what seems to be occurring sometimes. Okay.
Sometimes. All right. Thanks very, very much for that call.
Yeah.
Have a good one. And we don't have very much time left. I'm not sure if we can try to squeeze in this piece here. Just to give an update on the situation with the ICJ, International Court of Justice, and their interim rulings on the matter of Israel, Gaza, that case being brought forward by South Africa. Let's take a quick listen to this.
In counterpoint, we've heard the legal... Jeremy, we've heard point and counterpoint, we've heard the legal mechanics, but big picture, what's next?
Well, big picture is that, first of all, we haven't heard from the Israelis. What they're going to say, I think we can guess. They're not going to be at all happy with this. Under the terms of the court, of which they are a member, they are supposed to follow through and do all these things. They will argue they're doing a lot of them already. Israel, this is one of the provisional measures, Israel must take all measures to prevent any acts that could be considered genocidal, including killing members of a group, causing bodily harm, inflicting conditions designed to bring about the destruction of a group, preventing birth. So it's not saying you've got to stop your war, it's saying you've got to fight it in a very different way. And Israel has been saying throughout it is fighting it within the constraints of international humanitarian law. And this is the UN's most senior court saying that they're not doing that and they need to do it ASAP without prejudicing the consideration the court will give to South Africa's petition in...
And we'll take a bit more of that in just a bit, but just to try to squeeze in a call. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
I can call back.
Oh, okay. Hi, caller. Yes.
You said crime is global, but please ask our neighbor Grenada, why is crime so low there? No, you don't even have violent killings on any of those things in Grenada. So as much as it is global, why is it not affecting Grenada? Why they seem to be so peaceful? If they have a deficit for the years, about 1 or 2, for the least maybe 7, even less than that.
Yeah, I agree, caller. It's always useful to have some comparisons. There are a lot of similarities between Grenada and St. Lucia, and we should be able to also identify what the differences are in this regard. I mean, they definitely are dependent on tourism there. They've got, but I think, you see, this is a big question then when it comes to like the nature of our crimes right now. And when we look at the crimes that we have, vastly speaking, they are young males, and we're talking about violent crimes, violent homicides, this particular type of crime that we're dealing with. And we're seeing a lot of it, vastly, the use of guns, right? Shootings. This is what we're seeing, and the nature of it. These are not house break-ins for the most part, where somebody's shooting stuff. This is invariably drive-by shootings. The kind of activity that you're seeing is a very, very clear pattern. And so we have to then begin to see, well, how, I mean, and it appears, I don't have the facts, but it appears that a lot of it is guns for hire. These are people who are being hired as to hit against each other or to hit against this person, whatever, and I think we've got to get down to that issue very, very squarely. How do you address that problem of assassins effectively in society? I think, we will always have situations of crime, but dealing with these crimes, which are the ones which are, I think, are appalling for a lot of people, for everybody, there has to be some very definitive strategy and understanding of what is going on, and rightfully so. Why is it happening here and it's not happening in other places? I mean, the Grenadians are complaining too. Right, they're complaining as well. I mean, I know that they're looking into it, and they always want to get commentaries. There's a gentleman by the name of Mr. Bob who runs a talk show over there, and they're looking at what's going on in Trinidad. They're looking at what's going on in St. Lucia, and they're looking and thinking, boy, is this going to impact Grenada? What are they doing? So they're doing a lot of that introspection.
I heard the crime, whatever thing, will be held in St. Lucia this year. I think it's in April.
Sorry, the crime?
The crime, what you call is the Caribbean countries where they meet together to sit down at the table to decide what's going on with crime in the different countries and how they're going to come together to solve it and all sorts of things.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that it's going to be held in St. Lucia in April.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good if
Yeah,
it's going to
maybe
be held
from
here.
there
Let's
you
hopefully that it puts great focus on what is going on here as well, and our own experiences. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really think there's a lot. See how you can even get some of those young guys that are part of that gun. See how you can pull the ones that are not really strong in it yet to help you, assist in find out what's going on with the others inside the group. How you can help them, because to me it's getting a little bit. I don't have a fear so much because I don't feel fearful in my country, but what is going on, the amount of young lives that have been lost. That is what, because these are young lives. St. Lucia, we need in the future to build the country to the way they're just going, they one by one. Sometimes it's really heart-wrenching. It's not a nice thing to hear at all. I need to say one thing before I go. I was listening to some comments somebody was making, some news from England, that they said the roads in England are so bad that it's going to take over 20 years to fix the roads. But they're thinking of looking at AI, I don't know, whatever, to see if they can be able to do the roads in about 5 years' time.
They're trying to use artificial intelligence to fix their roads?
I don't know if it's robot or whatever they said, but that is something like that. It's some news I heard.
Okay, that's
and
interesting.
They said because the roads, there are lots of potholes, and people are complaining, their vehicles, their tires, all sorts of things. And it will take about 20 years for them to actually complete most of the roads, but they're thinking of what they can use, even though it's like robots or whatever it is, in order to maybe complete a good bit of that in about 5 years' time.
Interesting. Very interesting stuff there. I mean, England has its own challenges for sure, especially for the infrastructure rollout on things like high speed 2 and the amount of time it takes for them to actually get any projects going. It's a lot of, well, they won't call it, well, we could call it red tape, but it's a lot of checks and balances, a lot of processes that they have to go through. And the cost is very, very, very high. I mean, I was looking at one section of road that they were trying to build, the East Thames link, and for less than 30 kilometers of road, talking about billions of dollars.
Yes, that's what they
so
were saying.
they've got some significant challenges.
They're under pressure from the people that have won the roads, because at the end of the day, they are paying for it because the vehicles are getting damaged.
Yeah, it's a problem all over. Definitely, caller. Thanks for bringing that up. Have a good one. And we're going to have a wrap for today on the lunchroom. We will follow again this matter of Israel-Gaza and the continuing warfare there and its implications. We're seeing some of the results coming out of the ICJ. We want to touch on aid next week as well, and the issues of what allows Israel to be able to continue on its path that it's undertaking right now, and the overall impact on the Middle East as well. We hope to touch on that next week on our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Do have yourself a very safe and blessed weekend. I'm your host, Calix George Jr., saying goodbye.